let's talk about global investment options. And I'm going to be talking to Africans who live in the diaspora and are interested in either investing on the continent of Africa or having access to more global options. And then I'm going to be talking to Africans living in Africa, but they want more exposure to investments in other currencies or more globally relevant investment options. So that's the purpose of this particular class. Now, there's some things you need to do, almost like setting the stage or the foundation before you begin to invest globally. The first is you need to open a foreign bank account. So if you're an African living in the diaspora, you need to have an account in Africa if you're going to access the opportunities that are available on the continent. So a lot of times it's easier when you have a local bank account to participate in local deals. So this is a time to dust off your second passport and to open an account in your country of descent or your country of origin. So if you can, please open an account in Africa. And then if you're an African, you can open an account globally. So look for the country where you travel the most to. A lot of times, even though you may not be able to open an individual account, by setting up a business, say in the US or in the UK, you can open a business account. And a lot of those countries have made it pretty easy to open an account, a business remotely. So for example, if you're in Africa, you can open a business in the US through Stripe, through Carter, and I think Capbase as well. Not only can you register the business, you can also open the bank account while you're in Africa. So if you're not able to open a personal account, whether in Africa or in another country, try a business account. The same thing for Africans in the diaspora. You can easily open a business account in Africa if you're having some trouble opening a personal account. And again, there are various platforms, various structures that allow you to do so remotely. If you're a member of my business or my wealth mastermind group, we actually discuss some of these options. And then for some Africans, you may want to open an offshore account. This also applies to Africans in the diaspora. A lot of times it is because you're trying to protect your wealth from political risk, from currency risk, and in some cases you just want to be very tax efficient. There are also options that are available for you, whether you live in Africa or you live in the diaspora. And again, these are some of the options that we discuss in my mastermind group. So that's the first thing, because as you invest, you're going to need to be able to get your returns locally a lot of times, and then you can move that to whatever your primary account is. It's the same for if you're in Africa. Please open a dollar domiciliary account. So for example, whether you're in Kenya, you're in Nigeria, South Africa, Morocco, open an account that is denominated in a global currency. So whether it's USD or pounds, please open that account, because again, by the time you begin to participate in global investment options, you want to receive your returns in a global currency, not the local currency, because that's why you're exploring global investment options anyway. You want to earn a foreign currency. So again, if you live in Africa, this is something you can easily do. Walk into your bank, ask for a dollar domiciliary account, and that way it's very easy for you to participate in global investments. Know what your tax benefits are. I say this again and again. Many Africans in the diaspora don't know, and they're not aware that if you invest in anything long-term in Africa, you don't pay capital gains tax in Africa. So there's no double taxation. As long as you're an African in the diaspora investing in Africa, investing on the continent or in the motherland, there's no double taxation. So your investments in Africa can be structured tax-free, and you won't have to pay capital gains tax because it's seen as you participating in the development of the African economy. So there are a lot of tax benefits that you gain simply because you're investing on the continent. So please take advantage of those tax benefits, because I see that a lot of times when you want to invest over the long term, you want to take advantage of compounding. So you want to compound your investment tax-free, such that after 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, by the time you're repatriating your returns back to your country of residence, the returns you would have gotten on a compounded basis will be more than enough to take care of whatever capital gains tax you might still need to pay in your country of residence. But at least you won't be double taxed, and you will have the time, the space to compound your investment tax-free on the continent. So please ask about tax benefits, even for Africans who want to invest globally. Because you're investing in a country that is not your country of residence, you usually pay less taxes than a resident, because you're seen as a foreign investor that is bringing foreign direct investment into that country to help develop that country's economy. So there are a lot of tax breaks that you take advantage of. So please ask questions. And this kind of brings me to my next point. It's one of the reasons you should talk to a licensed investment advisor, because that way they'll tell you how to take advantage of both worlds, whether you're an African investing globally or you're an African in the diaspora investing in Africa. You need to talk to a licensed investment advisor so they can really direct you on how best to structure your investment for taxation, to avoid currency risk, to avoid political risk. That's why you need to talk to a licensed investment advisor. So please, particularly those who are interested in investing on the continent, please stop investing through your brother or through your cousin. Just stop that bad behavior now. And that's the reason why a lot of people get burnt, because instead of talking to a registered investment professional, you want to do things informally. And whatever money you're going to save in terms of doing proper due diligence, at the end of the day, you're still going to pay that money when you get burnt. So please, if you're investing across climes, or you're investing across borders, it's always useful to talk to a licensed investment advisor. So how do you start? Now, for those who are really interested in global investments, I would say start with sovereign bonds, because these are guaranteed by the government of whatever country it is you're investing in. They're seen as the safest investment. In talking to a licensed professional, they've done the analysis for you, they've done the due diligence, they've run the numbers, they kind of know which countries are going to default and which countries are not going to default. So that's another benefit of talking to a licensed professional. But sovereign bonds are a good way to have access to global investments without any of the political or currency risk. And most sovereign bonds, you can always get sovereign bonds that are USD denominated, so that also eliminates your currency risk. ETFs, exchange traded funds. If you've taken my course on stocks, I've kind of explained what that is. Index funds as well. Again, this is the best of both worlds. So for example, in 2020, the best performing stock exchange was in Africa. It wasn't in the US, it wasn't in Europe. An African stock exchange was the best performing globally during COVID. In 2022, Nigeria, for example, had the third best performing ETF globally. The United States was number 10. It's just one of those things that help you take advantage of the best of both worlds. For the ETFs, I think it was 2023, not 2022, just to correct myself. So a lot of times you don't know that as an African in the diaspora, simply because you have the advantage of dual citizenship or dual residency, you can enjoy the best of both worlds. And I'll tell you how to ensure that you avoid currency risk. That's going to be the last point that I will share, because if you're living, say, in the US, you want to be sure that your investments are denominated in USD and not the local currency. So even though you're developing the continent, you're investing on the continent of Africa, your investments should still be USD denominated, because it makes it easier when you want to repatriate your funds back to the US and spend in the US. So like I said, enjoy the best of both worlds. Remittance investing is another interesting thing, where instead of sending money home every month or every quarter, why don't you set up an investment such that the return on the investment takes care of those expenses thereafter? For example, at Volition Cap, we have a remittance investing product where you invest a minimum of $10,000, and Every year we pay your beneficiary from the returns. So you give us your beneficiary's account details, contact details, and we're that trusted agent. Rather than sending the money through your brother or your cousin, you set up an investment plan, and every month, every quarter, every year, we remit the return to your beneficiary on the continent. So that way you don't have to keep paying out of pocket. You literally just set up an investment plan once, and then that investment plan becomes a gift that just keeps on giving, and it's managed by a professional and a SEC licensed fund manager. Real estate is a fantastic one. Again, because there's a housing deficit in Africa. So again, it's one of the really good investment vehicles on the continent. It's also an investment you can see, you can touch, you can handle. So a lot of Africans in diaspora like real estate. Again, please go through a licensed professional. So for example, in our investment company, we always advise buy through not just a licensed realtor, but buy in an enclosed estate. That way you're not having to deal with a lot of encroachment. You're not having to deal with, like in my part of Africa, we call them omonile, the owners of the land. You're not having to deal with the community because it's within an enclosed estate that is managed by a licensed real estate developer. And again, through our investment fund, we've helped a lot of Africans in the diaspora identify such opportunities and participate in such opportunities without a lot of inherent risk. So real estate is a good one. Venture funding, there are a lot of exciting deals on the continent. We can boast of a number of unicorns, billion-dollar companies that have come from Africa. So it's also a pretty good way to participate for a lot of Africans in the diaspora that want to invest back home, and also for Africans who want to invest in global companies. There are opportunities, for Africans who want to come together as a fund or as a club to invest in a lot of interesting VC deals internationally. And also because they're USD denominated, you're able to earn a return in USD. So it's also another exciting global investment to look at venture funding. Again, because it's an interesting play in terms of just currency, opportunity, availability. And what I would also suggest is work through an investment club, and I'll explain why. In an investment club, you're pulling your funds together with thousands of people. And in our investment club, for example, because we're managing it professionally, we have a fund manager in the middle of our investment club. So even though we have thousands of strangers, we have an honest arbiter in the middle, a credible SEC licensed fund manager. We also have a SEC licensed custodian. So we've professionalized it such that we're able to pull massive amounts of funds and then give access to middle class individuals, access to deals that they would ordinarily not have been able to access. So we find that if you come together as an investment club, it could also be a friends and family thing. You have 10, 15 friends who want to come together to invest in an opportunity, say in Africa, or invest in an opportunity in the UK or in Germany or in the US. Come together and then appoint a licensed fund manager who serves as kind of like the honest expert among you, and that would help with your due diligence. Because what the fund manager does is the fund manager vets the deal on your behalf, because they have the financial literacy and expertise to vet those deals professionally and objectively. They're not run by emotion, so they're just going to look at the deal and give you a clinical assessment of whether this is a good idea. They'll do the professional due diligence for you. They'll represent you at meetings. They'll sit at the table on your behalf. So even if you're going to come together informally as friends or family, please have a licensed investment professional represent your group and help to assess the deals that you're planning to invest in. And then finally, global funds. It's one of the ways you can participate in global investments as an African. I'll share one of the global funds that we created for Africans who want access to international investment opportunities and USD denominated funds. That's a very easy way. So if you don't want to pick sovereign bonds yourself, you don't want to worry about ETFs, real estate, you just really want someone who will do it for you. You just want to be able to invest in a fund, and then that fund invests in all of these asset classes on your behalf. That's also another option. So this is our investment club that we created at Volition Cap. We've called it Vizient, and what it does is that it helps the honest and hardworking create wealth. So from a minimum of $100, you can come into our club, and we literally invest in the asset classes for you. So you don't have to think about doing it on your own. You can literally just give your investment to a professionally managed investment club and join thousands and thousands of Africans in the diaspora to access interesting opportunities. If you go to the website, you'll see the different pools that we've created based on risk profile, tenor, the minimum investment that you have. We've really just simplified it so that you don't have to worry about doing it on your own. And interestingly, we give access to deals. So this was a deal that was done by our investment club. It's the first African movie investment that has been sourced through investment clubs. We had our members come together, we presented this deal, we structured it on their behalf, we did the due diligence, ran the numbers, the financials, and presented this deal to members of our investment club, and they were able to earn between 15 to 20% in USD. Interestingly, they invested in the local currency, but they exited in USD because the film was bought by Netflix. So this is an example of the benefit of joining an investment club. You get access to hand holding because you have a professional fund manager. You also get access to deals that you can participate in that you may not have the financial literacy to vet on your own, but the fund manager vets those deals on your behalf. So this is just a case study of what we've done with our investment club as a SEC licensed fund manager. And this is a global fund that we've also created because we know there are millions of Africans who don't want their investment to stay on the continent of Africa, obviously because of currency risk and political risk. So we've provided this platform. It's the first global fund designed by Africans for Africans. So this is also another way that you can participate in global ETFs, global real estate, global trading without you having to pick those asset classes yourself. So please just go on the website. It's also another good platform for those who are looking for global investments. And then on a personal note, I tend to read Fortune Investments Guide every year because it kind of gives me a sense of what's going on in the global marketplace. Where are the interesting investments? I've been following AI, artificial intelligence backed investments for years now. And just seeing the trends around the companies that are doing like the really, really great stuff in AI. I've been following clean energy, clean tech. So, and this a lot of times just gives me a summary. So at the end of every year, I get the latest edition of Fortune's Investors Guide just to get a sense of what the predictions are for the next year. This is another good resource by my company. It's a mastermind group. We meet every month and we discuss the latest trends in investment. It's also a good platform to ask questions. So if you have investment related questions, you want to know what to invest in, what's happening, you're not quite sure of the trends in the marketplace, you can come to this forum. We meet on Zoom every month and you can just ask your questions in a very safe space. And then finally, Motley Fool, for those who want to know what stocks to buy, you want to see the research in a very easy to understand way. So Motley Fool is a pretty good resource if you just want to get a sense of what the historical performance of stocks, predictions, for the next couple of months or years. This is a good resource if you're interested in buying stocks, particularly for the long term. Stock investment, as always, is not principal guaranteed, so please don't invest what you can't afford to lose, and as much as possible have a 5 to 10 year horizon for stock investment. So this is an introduction. to global investments. I'm always available. If you have questions, you can either join the Wealth Mastermind group or shoot me an email. If you just want to learn more about the global options that are available to you, the contact details for my investment club and for the global fund are also on the website. Shoot an email, book a call, and just ask questions about how as an African you can invest in global options, and how as an African in the diaspora you can invest in vehicles on the continent. Investing in Africa is exciting. We're one of the few continents with a virgin stock market. It's growing, it's expanding. We're one of the few continents with a predictable agriculture season. We don't have hurricanes, we don't have earthquakes, so typically we have predictable wet and dry seasons, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa. So it's one of the predictable sort of asset classes to invest in. Like I said, we have a housing deficit, so real estate is also booming. So you could almost say that Africa is the next frontier. Just like Asia was the next frontier, Africa is the next frontier over the next 10 to 20 years. So please, like I said, ask questions, shoot me an email, or go to any of the websites and just book a call. And I wish you all the best. Thank you.